is a look at what my solar panel looks like coming off. It's been up pretty much the entire time through snow, rain, crazy winds, and these are the brackets that I use to connect the panel. They're just solar mounting brackets. I plasti dipped them, but you can see it didn't stay on very well. This is separate angle aluminum that I had to add to make it more rigid because it was flopping in the air. And then this is just a piece of plywood that I cut out pieces for ventilation. And it held up, it held up pretty well, I would say. Let's pause here so I can go into some more detail about the setup of this panel. I bought a 2x4 foot piece of wood from Home Depot, very thin, and then I outlined the panel on the wood so that I could cut out holes because I understand these flexible panels overheat fairly easily. I then added some VHB tape, and again, I did leave some areas for ventilation through that tape. I plasti dipped the whole panel, 4 coats each side. Then I added another layer of VHB tape just so the panel could really stick to it and adhere to it easily. And then I laid the panel over top of it and let it sit for a while. And the way that I was going to attach it to my roof basket is to use some insulated rubber clamps utilizing the holes that already come in the panel because I wasn't sure about drilling my own holes into the panel. This is the clamp that you can find in any home improvement store near the electrical section, and I wanted to be able to use these holes in the panel to put a bolt through. When I put the bracket onto the bar, it didn't quite line up with the hole, and I think if you flip the bracket around, it may be able to line up under that hole. After seeing that my original idea wasn't going to work out, I attempted to manipulate these clamps another way to try to get a bolt to fit under the panel. But maybe an option for somebody else if they can figure out a better setup. So I went back to Amazon and looked to see if there was anything else that I could find to hold this panel on. And I came across these brackets that are used by overlanders, ATVs, side-by-sides to mount lights and flags and anything else you might need. These work perfectly for my roof basket. These ones were 1 inch. And they come with a plastic lining that you can peel off extra layers to get a very tight fit. So we'll go back to the video now and take a look at how I mounted the solar panel to my basket using solar mounting brackets. And that was so that I could easily remove the panel, prop it up, use the basket underneath it. If you don't need to remove the panel, this could be a very good option for a simple addition of a solar panel to a basket that you already have. This is how I attached the panel to my roof basket. These are just some pole attachments that you can get on Amazon. I'll put links to these. I think they're 1 inch for the Yakima roof basket, and then these are the screws I used to attach it to. And then these are the knobs that come with the brackets. I attached the bracket to the bracket attached to the roof basket, and that's how I was able to angle it and prop it up. I spray painted the mounting brackets black to blend in, and don't use this type of spray paint. A self-etching primer was a recommendation from one of my subscribers, Don't Ask Bob, which will help prevent any chipping. This is just a test fit with these new brackets. I don't have the bars on yet, but it is holding up without them. Let's see if I can get in a little bit closer. So I should have plenty of room on this bracket to hold it, because I had to change it out from this shorter one since these rigid solar panels are not as long as the flexible one. Now under here I am 5 inches of clearance. So from this bar, this is 5 inches, and then it goes up a little, like an inch or so to the panel, but that should work. I think that that is going to be a better fit. I'm in the final stretch of this roof rack solar panel. I put this in here just to show what this is. This is a cover I had made so that I can use under the panels as storage for tents, shovel, recovery gear, and the bottom's just going to be open, and then I can bungee cord it closed. The aftermath of trying to get my panels on a gas strut, which did work. This is that accessory bar that comes with the Mega Warrior. This is a Yakima roof basket. So for now, I'm just gonna have to stick with this setup, which is fine. I'll use one of these recovery boards to prop up the panel if I need extra sun or to get my storage items out. But I would eventually, if I really find that I want the gas struts, I'll use extruded aluminum. And I'll use black, and then my smaller brackets to connect everything, because they have a pivot and everything that would work. But this is going to work for now. And I have a lot of storage under there. And I'm glad that I went the gas strut route, because it reminded me about my accessory bar. So I just wrapped it in some rubber there and zip tied it. But we're going to call this project finito. Hello and welcome to my workshop. In today's video, I will be redoing my solar panel setup on my roof basket. It works, but not if you want to use the storage inside the basket. So what I will be swapping it out with is some 80/20 extruded aluminum, using a pivot, gas struts, all the fancy things. So to give you an idea of how difficult it is to get in and out of, because when I had my first panel on there, it was just a 100-watt flexible panel. I didn't really use the roof basket for storage, which was kind of stupid. And now I've decided to start using the roof basket for my tent, poop shelter, recovery gear, toilet, chairs, all that stuff, and it gives me a lot more space inside of my vehicle when I travel. So we have some ducks who are requesting some food. If you can hear them in the background, I will try to speak loudly, but let's go take a look at this now. I will most likely end up with bruises on my arms because I have to prop the panel up to take anything out, and it has the tent in there still from when I went camping with my niece. I never removed it because it is such a hassle. So this setup will work if you don't want to use the storage inside. But I'm very hopeful that what I've come up with the extruded aluminum is going to be a success. So let's go remove the basket now and take a look at what we're working with. I use these to attach the two panels together. So this is how I would have to get in and out. This thing is about 35 pounds right now with everything attached. And here is this tent. And I'm going to take the basket off so that I can work with the new setup on the ground. So I'm just going to take the whole panel off now, take this tent out, and then unscrew the basket from the car. I've removed the mounting brackets from my solar panels and my roof basket, and they are actual solar mounting brackets from, I believe, Bouge RV. I will include a link in the description of this video that will take you to my Amazon influencer page and point you in the direction of everything that I've used, most everything that I've used for this setup. It won't include all of the 80/20 since I did, or the mounting bracket since I did order most of it from 80/20. But I will point out certain bolts that you can still order on Amazon in exchange for what 80/20 sells, because it is very expensive with what they sell. So I found some other options. They're stainless steel. But now that I'm using the extruded aluminum, I'm going to go back to these. One thing I didn't love about these is that I didn't like the piece of rubber or whatever it was that came inside of these. You'll usually get some plastic or rubber, and I like what comes with these brackets because you can just peel off the layers, you know, for how much you need. And these are 1-inch mounting brackets for this. This is the Mega Warrior basket, and these are secure. They don't slide down or anything like that, whereas this one, even though I would use these from this brand, it would still easily slide with the movement of the bracket or the panels. So I've mounted 3 of them. One thing I will note, when you do, it might seem obvious for others, but it was not obvious for me. You'll want to pay attention to how these come apart before you take them apart, because I tend to then try to put them back together backwards. So for example, what I'm referring to here is there's a little groove, if you can see that, a groove right there in this piece that goes on the bar, and your bolt, your nut, is going to fit inside of there, and that's going to work to help you tighten this bolt through. because it braces itself against those sides. So my recommendation for anybody who is not familiar with these is just to pay attention to how you take them apart, because that's how you're going to put them back together. So that's with that. And then same thing with these. I bought these a year plus ago, and for whatever dumb reason I didn't pay attention to these either, and I was attaching these upside down as well. I was trying to put it on my basket this way, and then I'm like, why is this not connecting to this bottom bracket? Well, that's because this side is the threaded side. So when you put your screw in this way, it threads through the bottom of here. It's going to thread through here, but it's not going to thread through this end here. So tip, pay attention to how these come apart. Then this is the pivot. This is some extruded aluminum I already had from my refrigerator build, and this is a pivot joint. It's the 90-degree pivot joint. So it is what I will use to be able to lift the panel up. And then what I'm going to do to attach the extruded aluminum to this bracket is I'm going to take some of the existing screw, okay, and I'll attach it really quick, and then I'll show you what that looks like. These 80/20 bolts are too small for the hole, so I had these black washers on hand, and so that's what I'm going to use to prevent the bolt from going all the way through. So I have a little piece here to show what that looks like. So if you can see, there's the piece that I screwed on, and then this just slides in like that, and then you tighten up the bolt there. So that is how it'll work. What I will say about cutting 80/20 is you do want to get a special saw blade for cutting extruded aluminum, and there are tons of little flakes that come off and shoot at you. So I wear gloves, and if I'm cutting a lot, I'll wear a mask, but definitely ear protection, eye protection, because this stuff goes everywhere and it gets into the groove. So you want to make sure that those are cleared out before you put it onto the roof of a car, definitely, but anywhere else that you use extruded aluminum. So safety first. I forgot I ordered 3 92-inch pieces of this aluminum, and I did that because it was cheaper on the cost. It costs $1.95 for each cut that is made on these. So instead of having 6 pieces, I saved some money doing just 3 long pieces. So I cut these to about 45¼ inches. I was 1/8 of an inch off because I thought I lined it up well on the first bar, but the second one I added 1/8 of an inch because you need to account for the blade. That's what I learned when I put together my fridge module. So you'll need to account for the blade as far as your waist goes. But these fit, and once I get these on, then I can confirm how long I need to cut the remaining 2 pieces. I put the solar panels on just for a test fit to figure out how exactly I'm going to do the bar. So there's going to be one bar connected from this piece to this piece, and then I'm going to cut a piece for the panels about 1 inch shorter, because this is just going to rest on this bar. At least that's how it's going to go in my mind. This is the first piece, not even attached, and it is a perfectly snug fit. So I'm going to go cut the second piece. I will be using these T-nuts, and I've already put the hardware in. I ordered a 2 and 3 piece bracket to save time and just to make it more clean. So I have one final one I need to attach to that, and I'll show you how that works out. Then this is my second pivot mount, and then these over here are how I will secure the panel down, because it will be using these gas struts so it doesn't pop open while I'm driving. I'm going to use these items here to keep it in place. You'll see here that there is a little nub, and then this side is flat. Okay, you're going to want to point the nub to the bottom of the extruded aluminum, okay? If you can see that. Because this frame is so thin, I am using some different hex screws that I found on Amazon. They're shorter, just 3/8 of an inch. And stainless steel, I was sure to get stainless steel for outdoor use, so because these heads are pretty small, I'm using a big washer. And then fitting it through. Once I'm done with all of these, I will slide the bar onto this hardware. I'm running out of daylight, so I'll have to finish this video and project tomorrow, but I just needed to point out an error in the bar that I cut for the pivot. I don't know what I was thinking, because I knew that I was going to be putting this solar panel on top of this bar once it's mounted on these panels. So the solar panel will sit on top of here, which means that this, excuse me, should rest on here. Day 2. I will show you what I decided to do last night. The bar that's attached to the two, we'll call them width bars, I lopped off about 1 inch of those so that the bars the panel will go on can rest on the back bar. This is the bar that stays attached, and I cut off about 1 inch like I said, and then here is the bar that goes on the pivot, and it now has more space to rest on there. I got the gas struts situated. They are a little long, but I don't want to cut part of the bolt off. I've done that with some of my 80/20 bolts that were too long, but then once I found those shorter ones on Amazon, I use those. So what I've done here is I've just put in a couple washers and then a lock nut, and it'll slide on just fine into the bar. So I'm excited to get this wrapped up. I have most of my stuff that will go inside of the basket to test it out, see how it works, and we will be done with this project, I think. This is seriously so exciting. Look at how clean that is. so much better than what I had. One of the fasteners, I ordered different ball heads to go into these because the ones that they came with were too huge. So these are an M6. And then on 80/20's site, I ordered an M6 fastener just for these struts. So now I am going to attach everything. Slide this into the pivot arm here. And then this one's already in here. So from the joint, it gets added 16 inches up. So right about there. And then here on the base, it's going to be added, I think I should probably include that. It's about 6 inches in. So I'll move this there. Okay. All right, do the other side and then see how it works. I had to take the gas struts off, just the bottom piece, and slide the panels out because I did not tighten this pivot joint down. So make sure you tighten those down, and then don't forget to tighten the pivot joint on the extruded aluminum. So I will do that now and then reattach the gas struts and attach my tie down points and see how this works. We are now securely attached, and to be honest, I'm not so certain that this won't vibrate off, so I will be looking at other options to keep this down, but I'll go ahead and undo these and give it a try. Oh, that is so awesome. Wow, that is cool. That is so cool. Yeah, just have to see about this whole attachment point, and then if I'm using the panel to just catch sun and I don't need it this high, I'll need to attach something that kind of keeps it down a little bit using these 2 anchor points. I think I'm going to use one of my straps that I already have. So now I will put my gear in here and then my cover and see how that works. Initially I figured these bars here would be best on the interior of the panels, but I guess for the purposes of weather, maybe they still should be on the interior, but I want to move them now to the exterior of the panels, and because then I'll be able to fit things in better. I still would want to put my toolbox in here, but I'm able to fit my shovel in there, which is great because I was attaching it to the outside using some quick fists, but I like to have the shovel inside. I would say that that's overall probably going to be the design, except for these middle bars here. I'm going to call this project done. I will just need to determine what I'm going to do about these center bars, about moving them to the outside of the solar panels, but it was overall a great success. I'm happy that I went with the 80/20 extruded aluminum. Took forever to arrive. It does take 20 days for processing alone when you order the standard shipping UPS ground, and you do have to pay for it. So I had some hardware already from my refrigerator build, so I was able to use some of that, but this total for the bars and the pivots and the T connectors and some other stuff with shipping, it was about $254 overall. It is expensive, but I will be able to use this in other builds. If I get rid of the basket, do an all interior vehicle build with 80/20 and or extruded aluminum. But I'm very pleased. I would highly recommend this product. I'm not sponsored at all. I paid for everything myself. This cover, by the way, is from Covers and All. It was custom made. I gave them some dimensions. It's perfectly square with about 6 inches in depth all around. You can have a cover made to the shape of a car if you want. So if you like this video or have any questions, please comment below. Give me a like, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. I couldn't help myself. I had to play a little Tetris. This will be the final layout. I unfortunately cannot fit the toilet in there, and I'm going to leave the gas struts where they are to hopefully keep them out of the elements as much as possible. So maybe I can swap the toilet for something inside of the car. And I have that open area, some down here, so I separated these are some recovery boards, so I separated those two out to scoot that bunker one in there, and it fits well. So I'm going to close it. This rigid box had to go in the middle there because it was hitting the center of the panels. Voila, there we have it. Another last thing, may not be the last thing, but maybe. So this, as it's being pushed down, it slams up against that bar. So I was like, oh, I need to get a cushion or something. But I had thought of that when I planned all this out in my head. And so that is what this is for. It's a rubber channel that just fits in the T-slot there, like that. So I will be inserting that into this bottom bar. And then so water doesn't get in these other T-slots here, I bought these covers to put in there, and they're just plastic. I only got the rubber for this to cushion the landing. So, okay, that is all for now.